What's going on, guys? Welcome to the video. So, the President of the European Council has decided to weigh in on the Brexit and election debate, much like Hillary Clinton. Because these Ramonas can't fight their own battles, they need foreign powers to help them in another show of collusion. Probably what Grieve and the rest of those Ramonas were sending letters to the EU about should this event occur. Because we all know Dominic Grieve, Gawk, Letwin, Jeremy Corbyn, none of them wanted this election because they're unprepared for it and are likely going to lose. During his speech, he told Remainers not to give up on stopping Brexit because he feels there is still a chance they can, along with a sly dig at Donald Trump. So let's take a look at the Telegraph article about it and also the accompanying clip from his speech last night at the College for Europe, or the Europe College, whatever it's called. The Telegraph's headline reads, Donald Tusk claims Brexit is the real end of the British Empire. Brexit is the real end of the British Empire, Donald Tusk said on Wednesday, as he urged Remainers to continue fighting to keep Britain in the EU before the general election. The President of the European Council said he hoped that Britain would reverse the Brexit referendum in a farewell speech in Bruges, Belgium. He warned that the UK would be relegated to a second-rate global player if it leaves the EU. Which I don't know if any of you lot will remember, but Merkel said something completely contradictory to that. And I believe so did Barnier when he said that Britain would become a major competitor to the EU. So how are we going to be a second-rate player? And let's have it right, your main bank account, namely Germany, is in recession right now or about to drop into recession, while we're still growing. So excuse me, I don't think we'll be second-rate. The EU is going to be second-rate if it carries on. The UK election takes place in 1 month. Can things still be turned around? Said Mr Tusk, who sparked fury when he said in February there was a special place in hell for Brexiteers. Yep, there's a special place in hell also for shitweasels like Tusk. He will be joined by the Corbynated Chicken and Joe Swinson. The article continues, don't give up. In this match, we are already in extra time. Perhaps it will even go to penalties, he said. I did everything in my power to avoid the confrontational no-deal scenario and extend the time for reflection and a possible British change of heart. Well, it's not going to happen, sunshine. I have been called a romantic and an Anglophile, both terms, in my opinion, quite suitable and merited, the former Prime Minister of Poland added. You know what, rather than me sitting here reading the rest of what he said, let's listen to it instead. I think that will be better, to be honest.
Finally, if you allow me, I want to tell you something I wouldn't have dared to say a few months ago, as I could be fired for being too frank. And today it is simply too late to impeach Donald, at least the European one. In fact, I envy John Bercow that he can finally honestly say what he thinks about Brexit. I will also touch upon the subject. I have heard repeatedly from Brexiteers that they wanted to leave the European Union to make the United Kingdom global again, believing that only alone it can truly be great. You could hear in these voices a longing for the empire, but the reality is exactly the opposite. Only as part of a united Europe can the UK play a global role. Only together can we confront, without any complexes, the greatest powers of this world. In fact, I can say the same about Germany or France. And the world knows it. I have heard the same in India, New Zealand, Australia, Canada and South Africa, that after its departure, the UK will become an outsider, a second-rate player, while the main battlefield will be occupied by China, the United States, and the European Union. Why are they doing this? I was asked this regretful question everywhere I went. One of my English friends is probably right when he says with melancholy that Brexit is the real end of the British Empire. The UK election takes place in 1 month. Can things still be turned around? Hannah Arendt taught that things become irreversible only when people start to think so. So the only words that come to my mind today are simply, don't give up. In this match, we had added time, now we are in extra time. Perhaps it will even go to penalties.
So you heard him say in his pathetic speech that the European Donald can't be impeached. Obviously a jibe at Donald Trump, who's currently undergoing impeachment proceedings in America by the undemocratic Democrats. Much like the illiberal Democrats we have here, who consider themselves Democrats but openly ignore democracy and want to ignore votes. You know, much like the Democratic Party did when they tried to say that Russia collusion got Trump elected. The Remainers who suffer Trump derangement syndrome are simply cut from the same cloth as this shit weasel here. And his stupid comment saying, I have heard repeatedly from Brexiteers that they want to leave the European Union to make the United Kingdom global again, believing that only alone it can be truly great. You could hear in these voices a longing for the empire. But the reality is exactly the opposite, he said. Only as a part of a united Europe can the UK play a global role. And the world knows it. No, that's not true. That's just what you think. Actually, we'll play a global role without you because we played a global role without you beforehand. It's got nothing to do with the empire. It's just not wanting to be part of your European empire. That's all it is. Brexiteers don't want to bring back the empire. They want to trade with the rest of the world. They don't want to be part of your political bullshit. They don't want you stealing all our fish. It's pretty basic. It's got fuck all to do with the empire, I can tell you that much. But essentially, this is an EU bureaucrat involving themselves in a UK election and by extension Brexit. Much like John Bercow, although at least he was a member of the British Parliament, even if he was unelected. And like I said at the beginning of the video, it's a bit like Hillary Clinton recently, butting her oar in, especially after complaining about Boris Johnson meeting Donald Trump, saying that he's interfering with British politics. You know, pot and kettle comes to mind. But given what Hillary Clinton's been accused of over the years, I don't think she really cares about being called a hypocrite, to be honest with you. It's probably the nicest thing people have said about her in a while. But this ballsack looking fuckpig really needs to go off into retirement like Bercow and keep his mouth shut. No one in the UK wants your input or gives a shit, unless you're a Ramona, in which case you work for the EU anyway. So I suppose you're just listening to your boss right there. But I'm going to end the video there before this shitweasel pisses me off. Just looking at his face makes me feel sick. Now before I go, I want to thank our PayPal, Patreon and Subscribestar members for supporting the channel, along with everyone who watches my videos. Remember to let me know what you guys think down in the comments section below. Leave a like, subscribe with a notification bell and share this video as it helps the channel a lot. And I will see you all in the next one.
This Parliament is a dead Parliament. It should no longer sit. It has no moral right to sit on these green benches. They don't like the truth. Twice they have been asked to let the electorate decide upon whether they should continue to sit in their seats, while they block 17.4 million people's votes. This Parliament is a disgrace. But they're too cowardly to give it a go. But the time is coming. The time is coming, Mr. Speaker, when even these turkeys won't be able to prevent Christmas.
There is a pattern consistent throughout history of oppressed people turning on the oppressors. Slaves against their owners, the peasantry against the feudal barons, colonies, Mr. Verhofstadt, against their empires. And that is why Britain is leaving. And it doesn't matter which language you use, we are going and we are glad to be going. We're off.